dream that one day this nation will rise up and live out the true meaning of its creed. We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal. I have a dream that one day on the red hills of Georgia, sons of former slaves and the sons of former slave owners will they be able to sit down together at the table of brotherhood. I have a dream. My 4 little children will one day live in a nation where they will not be judged by the color of their skin, but by the content of their character. I have a dream today. That one day every valley shall be exalted, every hill and mountain shall be made low, the rough places will be made plain, and the crooked places will be made straight, and the glory of the Lord shall be revealed, and all flesh shall see it together.
I feel like MLK's dream is reflected here on Carleton's campus because it's one thing to strive for equality in order to keep up with the status quo, or, generally because it's not cool to be a racist or a sexist in today's society, at least at Carleton. But I feel like Carleton's faculty and other programming and other groups on campus truly challenge students to understand the reasons why we have to look to the example that MLK set.
Really, it's like the kind of idea that he had pretty much wasn't so much focused on, I think, percentages, but so much more just equality in itself, and I think that's definitely here.
I think to a certain extent it is, granted that as an African-American student I am here today on this campus attending, but I think there are disparities that exist on campus and in the world that are very evident that we should all push towards changing, and especially in the pursuit of MLK's dreams.
I believe that there's definitely an attempt to incorporate MLK's vision. I don't think that Carleton's definitely a more diverse place because of MLK's actions and the thousands of other people who worked with him to bring about the Civil Rights Act.
I think yes and no. It is reflected mostly at a superficial level in that, there is much more diversity than before, racially and culturally and stuff. But I don't think it's reflected in terms of the ideas that are perpetuated in this campus, as well as the ideas that are institutionalized by Carleton. So I think there needs to be a lot of work in that area.
Here we have it, but it's just, I don't know so much if the diversity really, I don't know if it's spread throughout campus, or if the diversity is just kind of centralized into one small area. Those people only stay within that kind of group of friends.
I would say yes and no. I would say that his dream is reflected in the sense that students from different socioeconomic and different racial groups can get along and agree with each other. But then I would say no in the sense that I wouldn't say that's necessarily true about Carleton students.
I do believe that in some ways, just because the great majority of students here are from white, middle and upper class backgrounds, that it is difficult for students of color who come here to feel very comfortable here, and I wish that were better.
To an extent, I do believe that they are reflected within the Carleton community, because the way I interpret the dreams is to view people as human beings, and in other words, equals, despite their race and their background. However, at the same time, I think that we still need to work on trying to attain the dream, because there is an awareness of people's race and their background, which brings a segregation, which I think is wrong.
Well, I think Martin Luther King would be impressed with the level of diversity and the commitment to diversity we have at Carleton, but I'm not sure his dream is completely reflected in the Carleton community, because I think his dream was more than just about tolerance and integrating society. I think it was about it was a statement about the way we approach fear and love in our lives and the way we approach justice. And I'm not sure that's completely carried out in Carleton or anywhere in the world right now, but it could be. You know, there's still hope for Carleton.
I think that I am personally affected by the execution of MLK's dreams, particularly as an advocate for those dreams. I think that there's a lot more work that we should do and a lot of push that we should give to change the way that the world is today.
Absolutely. I mean, as an African American, well, African of origin, but American, living in America, who's also Muslim, who's also queer, and who's also just, who understands like marginalization from so many different angles. I'm definitely personally affected all the time, especially when issues such as like health disparities, educational inequalities, mass incarceration of predominantly African American males. I'm always affected by these things because I feel like it can happen to anyone. And the fact that we're not addressing them as much or like being as committed to solving these issues or being as engaged as we could be is personally very affecting me. And it actually influences my desire to go to pursue a master's in theology, African American studies, and then go and become a professor because I feel like I should use my lifetime to try to ameliorate the social condition of Black men.
Definitely, yeah. As like my parents were immigrants, and like I definitely look different. I look Asian, and yeah, actually, and I mean, like of course, like the work he did has like changed how people in our society think about people of different colors and races, and that's still continuing on today.
I would say yes and no to that also. I guess I would say yes in the sense that I'm affected in the sense that he wanted people from different socioeconomic and different racial groups to hang out with each other, but I would say no in the sense of like I don't personally believe that his dream has been fully executed.
A bit, yes. I lived abroad for most of my life, and I did not grow up within a culture of such a rough history between races. I grew up in a very, I guess, a caste society, but not where people look physically different. And then coming to America, I immediately noticed that there were tensions between people. A lot of it had to do with trying to be PC, and I think that in itself is almost a form of racism because people are trying to find out how to interact with others based on their assumption of the other person, based on their skin color, whether that person is white, whether that person's international, whether that person is any color of the rainbow.
Yeah. I mean, I'm personally affected by the things Martin Luther King was able to achieve through his nonviolent protests, through his, defense of justice. Personally, like as a, student that's half black and half white, my parents could never have gotten married if it had not been for the actions of Martin Luther King. I think personally, in my actions, as I read King's work, I also find him to be an inspiration for me, and so I'm personally affected in that way as well.
I believe I am personally affected because coming to this country as a family, part of my heritage is from Ethiopia. My father's from Ethiopia, and coming here from Germany, which is a place where there's not nearly as much opportunities for African people. Coming here, there was much more opportunity for my father to find work. I was more accepted in school. And so I believe that a lot of that is due to the changes that have been brought by the civil rights movement, by all the other people, as well as Martin Luther King himself.